people, if you're going to be in this line of work, you can't have a problem with problems. Like you have to anticipate problems
Mm.
and be solution oriented. So
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is the Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome back. Pull up a chair. Welcome to the Closing Table. I go by the name of Kevin McIntosh. Joining us on this episode, we will be talking to the expert in real estate, Mr. Bradley LaBrie. How you doing, Brad?
great, Kevin. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be with us today. Of course, we are here to talk real estate and get down to business. But before we even do that, let's have a little fun. I got a game, an icebreaker we're going to start off with. It's called Fill in the Blank. I just have a few sentences here, Brad, but unfortunately, they are not complete. There's some blanks in there. I need you to fill those in with whatever information, data, words that you feel will make it complete. Sounds good?
Sounds great.
All right, let's do this. First one. Blank makes a neighborhood more valuable.
Uh, I would say quality of construction, uniqueness of the neighborhood. That's something we aim for as a builder. So I know we're going to get into that here in a little bit, but
Okay.
one of the critiques of maybe the 70s, 80s, 90s was cookie cutter neighborhoods. And so the neighborhoods we develop now, our promise to each individual is that we'll never build two of the same.
Oh,
So I think that provides a tremendous amount of value in our market. We have very little appraisal issues. In fact, we're about 70% done with the most expensive ranch to ever be built in my area, my
oh.
town. But it attracts that type of person because it's unique.
Mhm.
There's a certain level of quality to it. I'm not saying we're the highest of end subdivision, but we're certainly not. Our niche is our flexibility with our clientele, our
Mm.
creativity in the build, and each individual house is totally unique. We might have similar floor plans, we can do, but the exterior rendering of a home, we do our best to work with architects to bring about something creative. And then each client, because we don't do like track homes, we don't spec build very often. We
Right.
build to each individual, and everyone has their own personality, right? So we,
Facts.
we we try to bring that to life with everyone that comes into our subdivisions.
Well said. Said a mouthful. Appreciate that. All right. All right, Brad, got another one. I would recommend paying blank as a down payment.
Uh, that's a complex question.
I know it is.
Every individual is a little bit different. Some people bring a tremendous amount of equity. Maybe they bought, pre-pandemic or early in the pandemic, and they have a significant amount of equity in their home.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I guess probably the better assessment is, where are you at in life? Are you getting close to retirement age? Are you first time home buyer? Um, are you after, specific school districts, or, whatever that might be? Like everyone's a little bit different. I don't know. It's a tough one to answer, but I guess the ideal down payment would be 20% down. You
Okay.
avoid, PMI. Um, but again, I mean, that's unrealistic for a lot of people, and that's fine, right?
Correct.
Like there are a
Correct.
lot of people that, put 0% down on some of these loans, and they do very well for themselves. And you have to be disciplined with your own personal finances as well. But
Yep.
I guess the ideal one would probably be 20%.
Told you I got some curveballs for you, Brad. I
Sure.
knew that. I already knew that was gonna be a little doozy. All right, last one. I would never blank after I buy a home.
Um, uh, Probably, start second guessing myself and doubting. Typically, what we aim to do is educate before the process.
Mm.
We never got into the waiving inspections and things of that
Yeah.
nature,
Yeah.
because we fully believe in the fact that you should fully understand the property you're buying, the area you're buying, the house you're buying. And so I think if you do your due diligence up front, you take your time, you don't make a rush decision. Once you make that decision, you shouldn't start second guessing yourself. So that'd be my answer.
Sounds logical, man. Thank you again for playing, starting off our icebreaker, Brad. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of things, man. You already kind of briefly spoke over kind of what you do and a little bit of your market, but let's go into more detail. Can you describe the current market that you're serving to someone who's never be there? Let's start geographically and spill any other information.
Sure. My brokerage is in Davison, Michigan, suburb of Flint,
Okay.
Michigan. Um, Something that probably attracts, the clientele to Davison are a couple things. We made a major investment into our school district. If I remember correctly, $74 million bond to improve our schools. We
Mm,
have tremendous sports programs. We won the Division I football championship in 2019. We went to the state title game in 2020, so back-to-back years. We lost that, but we have a tremendous football program. I happen to play for that coach. He's
nice.
probably one of the most influential people I've been around, and kind of teaching me life and business qualities that I didn't even know he was teaching me. When I was a member of his program. Um, and then we have the top basketball coach in the county just made the transition to our school, and he's done great things there. So great sports programs, great school district. Geographically, it's in a really good location.
Hmm.
We have a lot to offer here. So our market, the average home is just below 300. Average
Okay.
square foot can vary on the type of home. We start our building like a ranch home. We start at $215 a square foot.
Mm,
We're about $190 a square foot for, say, a two-story. And that's our base pricing, right? So we can
gotcha.
do, of course, it can go up from there, but um, that's sort of where we're at for our new construction stuff. And yeah, it's a good market.
Nice, nice. Man, you really painted that picture, Brad. Like, I've never been to Davidson. I've been to the Flint area, but I've never been to Davidson. So for you to
Sure.
put that out there and, for people like me who really don't know anything about it, that actually puts a little bit more information. It sounds like a good place to go and raise a family, to be honest
Great,
with you.
great place. My wife and I live here. We're
Yeah.
raising our daughter here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a part of some of the municipalities, and we fully plan to really hopefully contribute to the community for years to come. That's one of the reasons why I love building and developing, and be a part of that sort of thing. Is To me, I feel like I'm giving back. I'm making my mark on society, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully leaving the place better than I found it.
Facts, facts. I love that. Well said too, man. So since you already kind of dove into it a little bit, you are doing a lot to give back to your community in so many different ways. But starting off with taking on the role and being part of municipality, you're on the board of review for Richfield Township, correct? So you
Yep.
kind of go through different tax assessments for property taxes and property value and things of that nature. Can you talk about making adjustments to someone's property taxes, right? Let's say, for example, they feel like it's not right or it should be adjusted, it should be lower. What arguments have been made to successfully adjust taxable value on properties?
Sure. So it's complex because the local levels have, they have very little control over the rules and laws that are implemented. The state legislature, they'll hand down rules and regulations, and then the tax
Hmm.
authority will relay that to the local bodies. So when somebody comes before the board, I think a misconception probably most people have is that the idea behind a board is a checks and balance from the local assessor.
Right.
So the idea of a board again is the assessor will put out his assessment, and what they do is they do broad mass appraisals. And in my market, in Richfield Township specifically, they have four quarters to the township. So the township's 6 miles by 6 miles. So they have four quarters, and within that quarter, they'll say, a ranch in this quarter should be deemed, this approximate. So it's not a
Mm,
perfect science.
right,
That's why
right.
in our world we get independent appraisals. Banks require independent appraisal for each specific property. So there's definitely room for error, right? So
Yeah.
if most people come in because they don't like the fact that their taxes went up, well, that's well beyond the scope of what we do, right? That's our elected officials, determine those sorts of things. But
Hmm.
but typically what you'll find is maybe the assessor is still assessing you for an old barn. Maybe the assessor is
Mm,
unaware of the current condition. Maybe the assessor is has your house for more square footage than you have. Those sorts of things, or maybe just altogether they just your house is dated, or just not worth what they think it's worth, and the homes all around you are worth much more, and he or she is basing it off of that sort of speculation. Those sorts of problems happen. And so like this round in March, that's where we were able to reverse most, where specific properties that should be valued the way that they are valued. um, we were able
mm.
to step in, and obviously I have a little bit of expertise in that. And so it was fun. I mean, it's unpaid position. It's You get screamed at and stuff. So it's a thankless job, but I take a little pride in being involved, and hopefully just adhering to the letter of the law that we
There you
don't
go.
necessarily make. And even if we don't agree with it, if people don't agree with it, they need to get involved with the state level stuff,
Facts.
that's important too. So
Yeah, I think it's great that you hold that position too. I don't think I've spoke with too many realtors who are actually, or maybe they are and we haven't spoken about it, but I don't think I've spoken with too many who are actually part of, different municipalities and groups and things of that nature to kind of, add value not to their career, to be
yeah.
honest with you, because that's right in line with what you do. So yeah, I mean, I think that's super dope. And like I said, I think it adds value. Another way that you are contributing to your community, like we already spoke on, is you're a developer. So you work on actually putting homes on land and things of that nature. I have some information I want to share with you. This is coming from Lawrence Young. He's the chief economist at the National Association of Realtors. He said, quote, it is critical to ensure more housing supply to help meet the recovering demand, end quote. Now, it seems pretty obvious, but you need more homes to meet the demand, the high demand. Can you talk about, as a developer, what obstacles have you encountered to actually build more new construction in your market?
Yeah. Well, the cost of construction is the largest one. We just can't build the homes at the pricing that would fit the entry level clientele. One thing that we
Mm,
do, like we aspire to be, and again, I'm not the lead developer or builder. I work with a group of individuals, and a great group, and but what we aspire to be is a high quality builder. And that's the reputation we aspire to be. We hope to live up to that, and we do. But we're 2x6 construction, things of that nature, 9 foot ceilings. So we do some cool high end quality stuff. But always the challenge is just building at an inexpensive rate for first home buyers for affordable housing. That's a really
yeah, I
challenge
bet.
that we're doing right now with the land bank. We're working on some things that I can't speak to right now, but we're really on our hearts is affordable housing. Like we really do want to try and be a solution to that. So we're really working towards some ideas and creative structuring to do that, to make it to where we can build at a specific price point that we
Hmm.
couldn't build on our own terms. But in a way that it'll grow the local communities, with tax revenue for decades to come, for more, so not only do they get the property tax revenue, but this kind of affordable housing will attract obviously more young people with probably children, which bring more money to the school districts, and there's that compounding effect of value that it'll bring to communities. So we're really racking our brains on figuring out how to do that. We obviously have the resources, the people behind it to do it, the
Hmm.
relationships behind it to do it, the reputation to be able to do it. So it's definitely something we're working on. But that's our biggest challenge,
Right.
because in the subdivisions that we do, we're building to a clientele that wants a higher end home, and so obviously that's not first time horror, that's not affordable housing.
Hmm.
um but it's just because everything's so expensive. Not only is material up, but labor is way up, because we just don't have
Yeah.
the we don't have the manpower in the trades and such. So um,
Mm,
that's gonna be the challenge. So we'll see.
mm, mm. So you are experiencing, which I guess it shouldn't be a surprise. So you are experiencing a labor shortage on the construction and development side of it, also, correct?
Yeah, I think a lot
It's
of people
essentially.
left. I think a lot of really good trades age people left in after the 2008 crash, and they went to different parts of the
Mm.
country.
Oh
And
wow.
I don't think they, a lot of them came back. Um, and so, I mean, I'm not saying that it's impossible to get things done, but it's just it
Hmm.
costs a lot more to do it. And
Yeah.
so we, independently from the building stuff, we do probably my favorite part of what we do is we take on a tremendous amount of condemned homes and mold damaged homes and fire homes and things like that.
Mm.
So I have my own. We have our own construction company that my brother runs, and uh, so like for us, we treat our people right. Like in all of our organizations, we have a real immense focus of treating people right, providing a tremendous amount of value, appreciating people. Is what we try to do, and in turn, in an industry that has a tremendous, probably, I don't know the exact statistics, but if I had to guess, it probably has the highest and greatest turnover rate, or at least one of the highest turnover rate, which would be construction. Um, we've had the same workforce for quite some time now. We have a small amount of turnover, because of
There you go.
bad apples, so to speak. But
Yeah.
beyond
Yeah.
that, we try. So, but yes, everyone, if you talk to anyone in the industry, they're all dealing with it. All of our subcontractors are dealing with it. Um, and in turn, to get good people, they have to pay more, which they have to pass it off, right? So it's just
Oh my God.
it is what it is, right?
Yeah, man, and I get it. I get it too, but you already kind of spoken to what my follow-up question would be, which is what would the obstacles be for buyers? And you you basically already mentioned it, the fact that the price has gone up for you all as developers. You have to pass that on to the buyers. So with
Sure.
that being said, I mean you're battling this affordable housing situation and things of
S-
that nature. So it's
So that
almost like, oh, go ahead, please, please.
Yeah, so that's where we're attempting to get creative. So
Right.
I can't speak, directly to it, but there's ways and abilities through grants and
Mm.
such.
Mm.
Specifically if again you can convince a local municipality of the decades long a positive impact building and putting in quality people into. So so our goal again is to actually meet that affordable housing, to put police officers, firefighters, teachers, the people that maybe those type of people, government workers, obviously don't have tremendous salaries. So you have to be able to
Mm.
you have to be able to build at a certain level. And so what we're attempting to do is, again, build quality homes, offer a portion of it to those type of people that have a vested interest in the community. And then there's also that increase of property taxes, probably children in school districts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
Mm.
so that we are very mindful of that. That is kind of something we've turned our attention to a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we're just building, it costs what it costs, and if we can't get some of those things to where it's a collaboration, then you can't do it,
Falls to the
unless
wayside. Yeah.
unless you cut corners, and that's just something we're not willing to do.
Exactly, I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of people feel like nowadays. I hate to say a lot of people broadly, but a significant portion of people who I've spoken to feel like homes nowadays aren't being built the same that they used to be built. They feel like it's cheaper products and cheaper material, even cheaper labor nowadays. And I mean, the high cost of the material and the labor explains it. But then, like you said, you still have this ongoing battle of making quality homes, but then making them affordable. So I don't want to continue to
We
go down that rabbit hole, but no, please
we
speak on
we
that. But yeah,
we
that's
run
still
into it.
crazy.
Yeah, we run into it all the time. Like
Hmm.
we're gonna start a build for a couple that have only been in their home 6 months, and they're gonna sell it. They've spent 30 grand post moving in, just fixing some major issues.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of that, and so I mean, unfortunately, there is a sticker shock sometimes for people, and they have budgets they want to
Yeah.
stick to. But quality is what it is, right? Like, and
Yep.
we're very transparent. Our niche in our market is most national builders that beat us on pricing. they have three models, and you really don't get to choose anything. Maybe you get to pick the wall paint colors, maybe, but a lot of them they'll just build. They'll say, "This is what we're providing you. Here's the entire wrap sheet, white
Oh,
cabinets, white
yeah.
granite. Here's the flooring. Here's this," because
Yeah.
they pre-buy it, and they buy it in bulk, and they get a 10 or 20% discount, and that's how they're able to, that's how they're able to save money. And that's fine. That fits a niche, right? And I'm not even saying those people build less than stellar homes. Some of them do build quality homes, but for us, we're incredibly flexible. We allow our buyers to choose just about everything within the build. We're flexible on, we built 3, 4 car garages. We built whatever it is
Mm.
that somebody might want. We're doing a $21,000 dog wash station for
Wow.
for it's going to be, but so we're incredibly flexible.
Mhm.
And we beat kind of the high end builders, the ones that really try to go above and beyond. So it's kind of bridging that gap, but yeah,
There
we
you
we,
go.
we do we won't suffer quality just for price.
Doing the work, man. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Hey, Brad, in 2019, Mash Visor, I don't know if you've heard of them. They're a rental investment advisor. They named Belleville, Detroit, Manistee, and St. Helen as the four best cities in Michigan for traditional and Airbnb properties, investment properties, I should say. What are your
Sure.
thoughts on those cities that they named? Do you agree with it? Do you have any experience in it? And do you have any other cities, any information regarding best places to invest?
Sure. A little bit. Maybe my younger self would have started talking about some of those areas. I'm not an expert of those areas.
Okay,
I'm an expert in the county that I work in. I know it in and out. I know the streets. I know what to look for, what the challenges are with the building departments, or the assessing
understood.
departments, or whatever you're dealing with. So the more I know and fully understand. I don't know. I've been to Detroit. I know people invest in Detroit. Of course, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a Detroit, expert. I mean, I know it enough to, probably buy down there. But for me, I know the areas of Flint well. The greater Flint area, Genesee County is the county that it's in. I think there's a lot of opportunity here.
Mm,
I think overall, I think we have a lot of I think good things are happening here. I think we have a lot of good people trying to push the city and the greater area forward. I know there's a lot of obstacles too, um, but my wife and I own a tremendous amount of, or a decent amount of, rental properties and raw land, and we flip in the county here and all that sort of stuff. So um,
mm,
we believe in the area, and so that's the area that I know. We do well. We have a lot of investors that do well here. We have great property managers here that we know. In fact, tonight, I do a monthly investor meetup, so we get anywhere from 50 to 100 local investors or aspiring investors. And so we get several people, speaking and talking about their experience. Tonight's
nice.
lineup is somebody that owns 175 properties himself, largely in Flint City. And then he manages another 300 plus as a property manager, and then another guy is kind of an expert like myself in fire damage stuff and mold damage stuff and condemned
Mm,
stuff, all that sort of stuff. And the last guy is he's an agent in my office, but he's probably the top wholesaler in the county. So kind of non-traditional stuff. I'm talking about how do we solve the problem. If you can solve people's problems, you're going to last in any industry. And so the
100%.
discussion he's going to talk about is how do you help sellers? How do you solve their problems? And it
Mm,
doesn't really matter. For us, we're solution oriented. Our motto is always give people several solutions, and let them choose which one fits them best. And so
mm.
he does a phenomenal job of doing that, on both the traditional selling side, on the more non-traditional side. So um, but yeah, it's a great meetup. And so if anyone is from the area or wants to get to know the area better, like I said, tremendous group of people that come out, all different walks of life. Some of them are from the Detroit area or from the Lansing area, or from Saginaw. We get a lot of people from all three of those type areas. So
All right, cool, cool. And we're gonna make sure we give out your information before we get out of here so people can reach out to you if they're interested in that too. Um, I want to talk to you about flipping these homes. Brad, because this is where you're an expert, and I have a bunch of questions about this. Can you walk me through the typical process of rehabbing and flipping a condemned home? First of all, what is a condemned home? Let's start there.
Yeah, it can get condemned by, for several reasons and from different jurisdictions. So,
Hmm.
for instance, one of the ones we bought last year, I think five different jurisdictions were a part of condemning the property. Um, they had been squatting there for 7 years. The owner apparently had
Mm.
forgot
Oh my
forgot about the
goodness.
place. I mean, it was a mess. One of those stories. An owner forgot about the place,
Yeah.
that wasn't collecting rent. There was like a middle person that was collecting rent, and then the renters figured out that they didn't own the place. It was a mess. So the lady went away that was collecting rent. Then the people realized they didn't have to pay anyone. So for 7 years they didn't pay anyone. Um, but they had, or it was a few years, I can't remember. But they had seven kids living there. We
What?
found 13 dead animals inside the house. This was only 1,000 square foot
Oh
house.
my goodness.
There was meth fires in the attic. It was by far the worst house I'd ever been into. We had to bomb it
Oh,
7 or 8 times for bed bugs, fleas. I mean, you name it. It was disgusting. So a
what?
lot of a lot of my friends in the industry and stuff kind of laughed and said you should just torch it because it was by far the worst place we'd ever bought. But we took off the entire roof. We essentially rebuilt all the exterior walls. So we,
Hmm.
we did it from scratch, and we made it a team project within the construction company to kind of take it personal and put it for a good use. So we did end up getting it to a good use, and the person that's in there now. Um, but yeah, I mean, so going through a condemn process is not all that complicated. I mean, it sounds complicated. It's not overly complicated.
Okay.
You're gonna have to pull all four permits. So the township or city or whatever, they have condemned it. They're
Okay.
going to need to issue what's called a certificate of occupancy when it's done.
Okay.
Um, so you're going to pull a building permit. You're going to pull an electrical permit, a plumbing permit, and a mechanical, meaning the HVAC and such. So those will be the four.
Gotcha.
So you're going to gut the place. You're going to after this is kind of process in my area with my building department. We'll gut the place. Once we gut the place and kind of we'll get the building inspector out there and say this is our game plan. We got
Mm,
egress windows going in here. All bedrooms have that. So everything has to once you've got a place, everything has to get up to current code, right?
correct.
So code changes frequently, and so now everything has to come up to current code. So you need egress windows in all bedrooms. If there's livable space in the upstairs or the downstairs, you need an egress window for the basement or the upstairs. If either one has livable space, you need smoke detectors
Mm,
throughout the house. Need to be hardwired in. All these sorts of things, with code now have to become. So he'll go. You know what? I'd like your header to do this. If you're opening up a wall or whatever it might be, all these old windows, because it was built in the 40s, don't have headers over the windows. I want you to put, all these sorts of conversations the building
okay.
department would have to get a game plan. From there, you'll do uh, all the carpentry stuff. Like in this case, we put in all new trusses. We put in all new OSB, roofed the house. Did all of the interior, framing and all that. And then we got the electricians in there, the plumbers in there, the HVAC people in there for the rough stuff. So before you do
Mhm,
drywall, so then you
mm,
call out your the electrical inspector, which in my area is run by the state of Michigan. They have different regions for that. Some municipalities have in-house for the mechanicals, but most of them sub it out, at least in my area, to the state. And so you'll get the state electrical inspector. When the electrical is done for the rough, you'll get the state plumbing inspector when the rough's done, and then the HVAC inspector. Once they give you approvals for the rough inspection, you'll then go and you'll insulate the walls, and then you'll call the building inspector back out for his rough inspection. So
mm,
you'll have three approvals from the electrical, plumbing, and HVAC state uh, code enforcers, and
okay.
then you'll have those there, and then the town, in my case, the township building inspector will come out, take a look at the property, say this looks good, or maybe he'll say, you know what, I want this added here or there or whatever, and he'll say, but you can complete it. You don't need to complete it before you do drywall. You're good to go with the drywall, but you need to do these 2 or 3 or 5 things for me to give you a final. So then once he gives you that thumbs up, you drywall. And then from there, once you get done with drywall, it's sort of just putting the place back together. And
Hmm.
then you'll get the electricians back out, the plumbers back out to do finish work. The HVAC guy might need to do some finish work as well. And once all that is done, you have your flooring in, you have your kitchens in, you have your bathrooms in, etc. Then you'll get the all of the electrician or electrical inspector, plumbing and HVAC inspectors back out. They'll give you a thumbs up. Usually, they'll critique a few things, even with the top of the top electrical. You use the best electrical company in town. They'll still make them do this or that. But so it is what it is. And
Right.
I had one guy come in. It was funny to go on a quick little bunny hole, but he came in. I met him at the door. He looked at me. He said, "In my 20 something years, I've never given anyone an approval on the first try." And then opened the door and walked in, and I'm like, "Fantastic." So it
Thanks for
is
setting the
it is what it
tone,
is.
bro.
Yeah, it is what it is. But so typically there will be some critiques they need to do, and then you'll get them back out. They'll final you for the electrical, and then once you get all 3 finals, you'll get the building inspector back out, and then he will also give you your final, and that's when the township or city will give you a certificate of occupancy, which now allows you a mortgage company to finance it, or whatever you might want to do. So,
Right.
um, so
Ah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the process. Some are obviously less tedious than others, or
Hmm.
lengthy. If you're not gutting a house, but if it's condemned, if they condemn it, they will always make you pull all 4 permits. Has
There
been
you
my
go.
has been my experience. Um, Sometimes inspectors won't make you do much. If it's existing stuff and it's not old or outdated or whatever, they'll just say, "We'll do this and this." Um, but I guess it just depends on the complexity. Fire damage is very similar. Sometimes
Mm.
structural engineers are involved, so that'd be the extra layer if needed. But
Right.
typically, especially where we do most of our stuff, we know the building inspector really well. We have a great reputation. So they sort of act as a structural engineer, unless there's actual structural stuff, right? But like if we're
Right.
just
Right. Right.
doing trusses and new headers and stuff, there's really no need for
Mm.
a structural engineer.
Mm.
We'll just redo it like a new build. So one of the most recent ones we did all 36 trusses, and we did all new headers across. So it was just like a new build essentially, right? So
Right, right. Man, okay, Brad. You gave me a lot. I got to kind of break down and regurgitate a little bit. So, all right. So, first and foremost, with all that being said, what would be the biggest challenges of that? I feel like it would be ultimately the permits or getting the approvals from some of the inspectors. But why don't you speak on it? What are some of the biggest challenges in that entire process?
it's complex.
I bet.
You have to have a personality to where the thing that I see probably most is that people, if you're going to be in this line of work, you can't have a problem with problems. Like you have to anticipate problems
Mm.
and be solution oriented. So what I see happen most is like every problem is a big problem to most
Right,
people, and
right.
that's typically like an type A personality, somebody that's very detail oriented, right? Nothing against that personality type, but like uh you have to just be able to, when a problem arises, you have to quickly think solution. How do we create a solution
Correct.
to this? And that's just my personality type. So I mean, problems arise consistently. Like there's just a tremendous
Man.
amount of problems that are going to come up, and you just have to
Yeah.
be able to adapt and be creative and always, in my opinion, think reputation first. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
and dollar second, and that's really challenging to do because we're entrepreneurs, right? We're geared towards
Yes.
making money and bottom lines and
Yes.
stuff, and that's important, right? It has its place, but if you're going to do projects like this, you really do have to have a reputation first mentality. Um, and I guess you ultimately develop that by being around the right type of people, being around the
Hmm.
people that have been through something like this, are going to help coach you, or whatever that word might be, to remain steadfast, remain you know reputation first, quality first, whatever word you might want to use.
Yep.
So I would say that's probably the biggest challenge, or maybe the biggest hurdle
Hmm.
to overcome, is how do I get comfortable with having multiple problems and problem solving and being quick on my
Yeah.
feet, and not taking problems personal, not taking problems, not making mountains out of molehills, so to speak, for lack of a better
Correct.
word, I guess. You just have to be able to do that, and I don't know, I guess some would call it pressure. You have to be great with pressure, and if not, you just it's going to be an uphill battle.
The process will weed you out. Man, you already said it, man, and you spoke. I like how you started off. You can't have a problem with having problems. I
Right.
kind of already knew that the answer to that would be very complex. The process that you just explained, like you said, it doesn't seem complex. You said it's easy, or not easy, but it's not as hard
Yeah.
as people would think,
I
rehabbing a
would.
home and flipping it. Go ahead.
Same thing with building. I wouldn't say it's overly complex,
Right,
or
right.
maybe complex isn't. I wouldn't say it's overly difficult. There's essentially a process. Like
Correct.
once you gut a home and you have a canvas, it's
Mm.
not overly challenging. The problem is, you consistently have problems, right? And you
Yeah.
consistently have to work around things, and that those problems can be hiring the wrong, subcontractors. Those
Hmm.
problems can be what I
Oh
find a lot of
yeah.
people doing, trying to find the cheapest person.
Yep.
Um, Everyone
Yep.
has, you can't even begin to explain what that means until somebody goes through it, because everyone is geared to try and get the best price,
Yep.
and that almost always will burn you. And so, um I guess what I'm saying is there's a process to it. It
For sure,
isn't
for
an
sure.
easy process. It is in some ways complex, but there is an orderly process. But you just always have problems, right? And you have
Right,
to get
right, right.
comfortable with that, and that's almost something that's like intrinsic. Like I can't even describe how you get comfortable with that. It's just something you have to, and um, if you're going to do well in this line of work.
Yeah, it got to be in you and not on you, man.
Sure.
And that's why I said, like what you said, you can't have a problem with having problems. That's an entrepreneur mindset. You have to be
Oh,
solution
sure,
oriented.
man.
Like that alone, like that quote alone will weed people out. Like a
You know
lot of
what?
people break down just by having one problem.
I heard probably one of the best things I've heard in years, or at least it was the timeliest thing I heard. I was at a meeting yesterday, and someone said, "I don't have a problem with you coming to, you come to me with as many problems as you want. If you come to me with a problem without a solution, I don't want to hear it."
Yep.
It was something to that effect, and I,
Yep.
you know, I probably butchered, but it was essentially just like,
Yep.
I don't mind having, problems are what they are. I have to deal with it, but I really uh, dislike when we can all point out problems. Whether it comes to municipalities, that's why I got involved personally, because I have my own challenges with, say property taxes, what we have to do in the future, how do we make housing affordable. All these kind of questions are things that, I mean, I'm only 29 years old, but I feel like, in my 40 or 50 years, in this industry, which I really hope to, do this till I'm basically dead,
Hmm.
is I want to be a part of a solution. And so, like, there was a time where I would start to complain about these things. But if you're not bringing solutions to the table, if you're not putting in the time to actually figure out how can we make solutions, how do we better understand this, why do we actually do this, why do we do that, to me it's just complaining, and
Yeah.
I don't, there's a difference between being comfortable with problems and being a complainer, and it's a fine line. And so, you have to be, solution oriented, no matter what you're going to do as an entrepreneur.
Factory, man. Fact. All right. So continuing on with the flipping the condemned houses. Um, a condemned home, a lot of people would just look at them like, "Yo, this is abandoned. I'm completely out of here." But let's talk about how you assess the potential profitability of a condemned home. I need to know what factors you take into account. All right, and I'm saying that to say, basically, how do you look at a property and say this can be saved or this needs to be knocked down completely? Go. Can you go into your process with that?
Uh, I'm getting better at that.
Oh wow.
Because the entrepreneur in me wants to save everything, and that's a blessing and a curse. But I mean, we have a range, right? We have a range somewhere between $30 a square foot and $70 a square foot is our rehab cost.
Okay.
Um, and that includes, we have a quality construction crew. It's obviously quite expensive on monthly payroll, to sustain something like that. So
Hmm.
we know almost down to the dollar, like what approximately we can do, and that's going to be our range. So when I go to a property, I know number one, there are going to be people that they'll tell me, "Oh, I'll fix that in 3 months," and I'm I say, "Great, I hope you do," but the experience in me is like, "There's no way." I mean, you know, for 3 months, the state inspector is going to be on vacation, so good luck with that.
Oh wow.
So but so I kind of put it into a range. I say, okay, this is kind of a $50 to $60 a square foot, and then if it's in like say the town, there's two different ways to invest. There's an invest for pure profit, and there's an investment to better the community. So if it's something that I know is going to sit there for 2 years, and even if it got on the demo list, I mean, that could take who knows how long. There are properties on the demo
Mm,
list that still don't have a completion date. They've been on there for years, right? So there's like a I don't know, humanitarian or for the better cause, and obviously make a couple bucks type investment, and then there's an investment where you make money. So I'm like, okay, 50 to 60. This is kind of where we're going to be. Like, yeah, we're not going to make the whatever six figures or whatever the profit you might want to make on something like that, but it's good. I'm going to drive by it every day or twice a month, and I'm gonna smile every time I drive by it. Right. So
mm.
we do a lot of that, to where we've saved some things that would have been on the wrecking ball list, and another thing that I see a lot is uh, you know one thing that one struggle I have with like the investing community is it's so dollars and cents oriented, and I don't fault people for doing that, but it takes away the people live in that neighborhood, right? And
Right.
people are going to live in that house or whatever that means. And so there are a lot of places that people just buy and sit on for it'll be a place that's condemned or whatever, and it'll be a large investing group or whatever, somebody in a larger city that has some money, and they'll look at a place, like maybe they come from their average price points 700 grand or something, and they look at a house for 100 grand around us that's totally beat up, and they say, I'll just buy it and get to it when I get to it, right? And so um so there's a lot of that goes into it, in my at least now where I'm at now is just like, man, I can better this community. I can put property tax
There you
back on the
go.
roll for the county. So
There you go.
probably the biggest notch in my belt is the reputation we have with our local jurisdiction, the building department, the assessing department, because they know that when we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. And sometimes that means we make a lot of money. Sometimes that means we just better the community. And
Right.
again, I'm not advocating for losing money or doing things that don't make sense, um, but there's definitely properties that I guess I'm not answering your question very well, but I guess just the it
Oh,
factor.
you are.
I've probably been in 20. I don't even know how many houses I've been into now in 10 years I've been doing this, but you just kind of you get that feeling in your gut, I guess, that this one's not even gonna this
Mm.
isn't even salvageable. And then there's the ones that you're like it's kind of teetering there, but we can do this, and
There you
we'll
go.
put our stamp on the community. And then there's the ones you walk into, you're like, this is a home run, so
Mm.
there's different ways to evaluate, but I guess the best way to put it is we just have that sliding scale. Like, base rehab is going to cost us $30 a square foot. No matter how base a rehab is, unless it's literally just paint, and carpet,
Right,
we
right.
we can't do it for less than $30 a square foot.
Mm.
And for the most part, there's really nothing that'll exceed, say, $70 a square foot. So you just sort of, have that range. I kind of know, the middling ones, you could just call it 45 a square foot. If you just wanted to be, it's just a middle range. If it's going to be a, modestly heavy one, 50, 55. If it's going to be severe, you're pushing over 60 to 70, right? So, um,
Right.
So we, like I said, we typically buy at, somewhere between like 25 to 35 percent ARV when we buy these type of projects, and so it leaves a lot of meat on the bone because again, no one else is going to buy it
Okay.
because they're time consuming. The fire damage that we just finished up and just sold, took us almost a year to finish, and
Mm.
because it was a big project, and plus we had a few others going, so if you're gonna do it right, it's gonna take some time. So
Yeah. Seem like you're doing both the eyeball test, you're doing the gut feeling, the intuition test, and you're also putting both of those against what you actually practice and what your standards are in regards to whether or not you feel like you should rehab a home or not. So I mean it
sure.
all makes sense,
Yeah.
obviously. So
I've never been, I'm like I said, I'm not a type A personality. Sometimes that's a good thing. I mean, I surround myself with type A personalities because they check and balance me. But when I go into something like I'm a back of the napkin type guy,
mm,
I try to be a thoroughbred in whatever I do. I try to be, not just good but great in it. And sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not, and I'm probably still not in some aspects. But I consistently test myself. I consistently put myself, okay, like now that we're at the end of the project, what did we do? Did we hit our, $45 a square foot goal? Did we not? If we didn't, great. I got a lot to learn to do. Why did I make that mistake? What did I miss? What went up in pricing that I didn't anticipate? But for the most part, I've just gotten so dialed in that I pretty close, and
there you
and
go.
and it's not a great way to, be on a podcast and teach others, I guess. But I just have that. I kind of have that it factor now because I've been doing it for so long. I don't know the quote. I think they said if you do something 10,000 times, you become an expert, something to that regard. So I guess
Yep, yep.
I consistently do it daily, every day, every day, every day, every day, and I've been doing it for years. And you just sort of develop that ability. So
That mastery. There it is
right,
right there. 10,000 hours. All right, man. Hey, you already spoke on it, and we can already see about the podcast. So you got a good mic, good headphones. You
yeah.
talked about a podcast. You have your own podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do. We don't. My partner. He runs most of it now. I come on. It's called House Hacking Success. So,
Nice.
if somebody wants to listen, great. It's probably a terrible podcast, but we've met we met a lot of great people, and it's been a lot of fun. It's
hmm
opened me up to a lot of incredible people. Somebody that I would consider like my favorite book ever. Chad Carson. He's a Bigger Pockets best-selling author. He wrote How Retire Early with Real Estate. Um, but I had emailed him after reading it because it was just revolutionary, and then we started kind of collaborating there. I witnessed course, and then I started the podcast, and so now I'm in his mentorship group, helping him, obviously unpaid, but just helping him grow his business, what he's doing, and so that's been my favorite thing about it is the
Nice.
people that have reached out in my area or whatever. There's been people that have said, man, like just same thing, probably same reason you're doing it. Like this
Yeah.
man, like
Yeah.
you gave me a totally different experience. Like we started it many years ago, maybe 5 years ago or something, and I was at a totally different place in my life, and whatever. But it's been fun, and for people unfamiliar with what house hacking is, it's generally
Mm-hmm.
speaking, buying like say a duplex and
Mm.
living in one side, renting out the other, and so it gave me a great start, and
Oh yeah.
and we did that a few times, and so yeah, for those interested, listen to it. For those uninterested, I don't blame you. It's been a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it, Brad. I love it, man. Hey, man, we're about to get out of here. I appreciate you for stopping by the closing table, pulling up a chair, and talking to us. You dropped a lot of gems for us today, Brad. If you are interested in investing, make sure you rewind and check this out. Before we get out of here, Brad, if you have any last words, including telling people about your channel and your podcast, and or want to tell the people how to reach out to you, please do so now.
Yeah. I think especially, probably people listen to this, especially if they're listening to it from the investor side. The question I get most is like, should I do it now? Should I not do it now? Um, uh, Especially for the younger people, I'll just speak to that demographic because I am still that person. And I had those same questions when I was, getting started 10 years ago. It's never going to be a good time ever.
Mm.
And so if you plan to do this for more than a couple of years, let's say 10 years, or maybe even like me, and you want to do this for several decades, just do it. It's Nike's slogan for a reason. I mean, if you're gonna,
Nice.
if you're gonna, right? I mean, if you want to do something, you want to do it for a long period of time. You just got to do it. I read. I was like a lot of people probably out there. I read, hundreds of books, and I was trying to get as educated as possible. And I could have read 1,000 books, and they wouldn't have given me the experience that first one did. And by the way, I
Mm.
lost every dime I put into my first one. It was a tragedy. My tenant got
Mm.
murdered. I mean, it was
Oh my
it was
goodness.
it was a
Whoa.
wild story. So we'll do that for the next podcast. It's a nice little
Yeah,
a
that
subject
was
for the next one.
crazy.
Um, but so I just say that, I only say that is that it doesn't, to me it doesn't matter. Like it matters to
Mhm.
some regards, but if you're gonna do it for more than a couple years, and you're gonna try to aspire to be at least good at something, you just have to do it.
There
There's
it
gonna be good
is.
times, there's gonna be bad times. When there's bad times, it's gonna be more challenging to buy a house from a financing port. You know what I'm saying? There's never
True,
there's
true.
never the ideal time. And so if you don't have the track record, you're not gonna have the financing or the private investors. You know what I'm saying? So like, yes, the market's hot. Yes, interest rates are high now. You just have to, so I guess that'd be the one aspect I'd tell people: just do it, no matter what it is. You just gotta go for it.
There
And
it
if they want to
is.
reach out to me, Bradley LaBrie on Instagram, Facebook, House Hacking Success is that there. I own a Keller Williams office here in Davison, so if you're in the area, you can always stop in or whatever. Reach out to me. We can meet up for coffee or whatever that might be. But I really do appreciate you having me on, Kevin.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, man. Fail forward.
That's
That's
right.
one thing I took. And then there's another quote I heard that I absolutely love. Ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice. Just
That's
make
right.
the move, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you again for joining us here on the closing table, Brad. For our YouTube audience watching right now, I see you, baby. You see me? Hit this like button. Please hit the like button if you got this far. Also, hit the share button and subscribe to our channel. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Give us a like, a 5-star rating, and also subscribe for our latest content. Hey, Brad, before we get out of here, I'd like to leave our audience with a question. Hey, audience, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Home ownership is still the American dream. Don't say something. Don't say anything now. Leave your comments below. Other than that, we'll see you next time.